Hello, courageous soul. Hello, you who are reaching for a brighter dawn. Does that feeling resonate deep within you? That sensation of walking in circles, day after day, year after year, bumping into the same invisible walls? Do you feel those old habits like stubborn, thorny vines, coiling around your heart, constricting your breath, preventing you from taking that one crucial step toward your most authentic self? You glimpse the summit, you hear the whisper of your soul's calling, but some unseen force again and again seems to pull you back into the familiar marshlands of doubt, fear, and self-criticism. Perhaps you're weary of this internal tug of war, this gnawing feeling that you're perpetually falling short, forever losing to some inner demons you can't quite name. You look at others, those who seem to glide through life with effortless grace, and you can't help but ask, why is this so hard for me? Why am I the one who has to navigate these particular trials? And this ache, this poignant sense of unfairness, or your own perceived inadequacy, can become almost too much to bear. We're often sold a bill of goods, aren't we? That life is supposed to be a walk in the park, that our primary aim should be comfort, the avoidance of all pain, the relentless pursuit of pleasure. Society whispers, and sometimes shouts, that if something feels difficult, it must not be your path, or perhaps you're simply not doing it right. And so, guided by this pervasive narrative, we try to tiptoe around the sharp edges of life, to hide from its challenges, to mute the persistent voice of our conscience that murmurs of something more, something deeper, something real. But what if I were to tell you, my friend, that within this very unceasing, courageous inner battle, as the sages of old named it, lies the master key to your liberation? What if this struggle itself is not a punishment, but life's most profound gift, an unparalleled opportunity for your spirit to finally unfurl its magnificent wings? The paradox, and it's a beautiful one, is this: the root of most of our suffering, the very source of those enemies that torment us from within, is often our own ego, our misguided self-love. Not the healthy, vibrant self-respect that is your birthright, but its distorted shadow, an unwise attachment to self in the forms of self-indulgence, self-pity, the insatiable need to always be right, to always get what we want, to perpetually sidestep even the slightest discomfort. This is the sly counselor, your false self, whispering insidious lies. Stay here where it's familiar and safe. Don't risk. Don't change. It's terrified of pain. It craves constant validation. It clings desperately to the illusion of control. And as long as we coddle it, as long as we drown in self-pity and shrink from confronting our shadow aspects, we remain its captive. True, lasting transformation ignites the moment we dare to challenge this inner tyrant, the moment we become willing to greet discomfort not as an adversary, but as a revered teacher. It begins when we are ready for voluntary self-crossings, not in the sense of self-flagellation, oh no, but in the conscious, deliberate refusal to indulge our weaknesses, a conscious stepping out from the gilded cage of our comfort zone, a loving embrace of those sorrows, deprivations, and unfair accusations that life presents as spiritual gym equipment designed to sculpt our spirit. You must understand, this internal conflict, this sacred war for the sovereignty of your soul, is meant to be an ongoing, unyielding engagement. But envision it not as an exhausting, soul-crushing sentence to hard labor, but as the inspired, dynamic dance of a warrior, as a triumphant anthem of your spirit's indomitable strength. And you can access this profound wellspring of spiritual vitality, this unshakable courage, if you wholeheartedly ask for it from the source of all being, from the very power that wove the stars in your own precious heart. Step onto this battlefield without a moment's hesitation. Yes, there will be times when thoughts arise, unsettling in their ferocity. My inner adversaries are too formidable. They are legion. This fight will never end. But in that precise moment, pause, breathe, and remember the power of the universe, the boundless energy that underpins your very existence, is infinitely greater. The love that envelops you is limitless. Contemplate the countless legions of benevolent forces, the accumulated wisdom of the ages. the unwavering support of all who have walked this path before you. They are invisibly yet powerfully contending on your behalf, if only you will open your heart to receive their aid. Recall the stories of how seemingly weak women and pure-hearted children, inspired by this unseen support, achieved the most astounding victories over the wisdom of this world, over the intricate snares of darkness, and over the venomous despair of hopelessness. Therefore, never, do you hear me, never allow fear to gain a foothold when it seems the onslaught of your inner enemies is overwhelming, when it feels as though there's no end in sight, that this struggle will consume your entire life, that falls are inevitable and will recur in myriad forms. Know this profound truth. All your inner adversaries, with all their cunning stratagems, are held within the compassionate hands of your higher self. Your inner divine commander, the Lord of your heart, in whose honor you wage this sacred battle for your wholeness. And if this very guidance leads you into this fray, then rest assured, it will not permit your inner foes to vanquish you unless you, by your own volition, defect to their side, surrendering to despondency. More than that, this divine presence will actively fight for you and will deliver these enemies into your hands, defeated, at the time and in the manner that serves your highest good. Yes, sometimes it may feel as though the divine tarries, as though complete victory over your ingrained weaknesses is postponed until your very last day. But know this, it is done for the sake of your own ultimate, most profound benefit. Only do not retreat. Do not cease to engage in this inner work with every fiber of your being. Even if at times you are wounded, even if you stumble and fall, do not lay down your spiritual weapons. Do not turn and flee. Let one singular intention burn brightly in your heart, to fight with unwavering inspiration and courage. Because, understand this, it is inescapable. There is no human being who can sidestep this inner battle, neither in this life nor at the moment of transition. And whoever does not engage in this struggle to conquer their passions and inner foes will inevitably be ensnared by them, either here or hereafter, and consigned to a spiritual death, a death to joy, to light, to love. And it will serve you well, my friend, to ponder why we are placed in this state of spiritual readiness, this constant call to inner vigilance. Recall the ancient parables. When the chosen people were entering the promised land, God did not command them to annihilate all hostile tribes at once. He allowed some to remain, firstly, to test whether the people truly trusted him and faithfully followed his guidance, and secondly, to teach his people the art of warfare. Similarly, not all our passions and weaknesses are instantly eradicated within us. They persist, battling us until our final breath, for very similar purposes, to test our love and devotion to the highest, and to instruct us in the art of spiritual combat. Let's delve deeper into why this is so. The wise ones tell us it happens for several key reasons. First, so that we do not succumb to complacency and spiritual lethargy, but remain ever vigilant, diligent, and attentive to our inner landscape. Imagine yourself as a sentinel on duty. Can you afford to doze off, knowing the enemy never sleeps? Second, so that we don't forget the ever-present potential for our old patterns to attack, and thus aren't caught unawares and overwhelmed. This is like constant training, keeping us spiritually fit and alert. Third, so that we always remember our connection to the source, always turn to it for aid, seeking and anticipating its support. For it is often in our moments of perceived weakness that we most earnestly turn our gaze heavenward. Fourth, so that we don't become inflated with pride over our small victories, but humbly recognize that without higher assistance, we are limited. This cultivates true humility, which is not self-abasement, but a clear-eyed assessment of our own strength and an understanding of our reliance on the divine. Fifth, so that we learn to despise from the very core of our being, not ourselves, but those destructive passions and inner enemies that so tirelessly try to divert us from our true path. When you truly see the pain they inflict, you begin to consciously reject them. Sixth, to test whether we maintain, until the very end, our allegiance to our highest ideals, our love for truth, our faith in goodness. This is like a crucible, testing the resilience of our most sacred convictions. Seventh, to impel us to more meticulously observe all the universal laws of harmony, not transgressing even the seemingly smallest ones. For every detail matters on the path of spiritual growth. Eighth, to experience firsthand how precious virtue is, how sweet the fruit of self-mastery, and therefore never to agree to exchange it for the fleeting, hollow pleasure of succumbing to a weakness or an old destructive pattern. Ninth, so that this unceasing inner work allows us to earn ever greater crowns, that is, to unveil ever newer facets of our divine potential, to grow in wisdom and compassion. 10th, so that by our patience, our steadfastness, we glorify the light within us and put to shame the darkness and illusion that seek to diminish us. And finally, 11th, so that having become skilled in this inner warfare throughout life, we do not fear it in the hour of our great transition, when the most crucial battle for our soul's evolution is to be fought. Thus, being perpetually surrounded by these inner challengers, so maliciously opposed to our true self, we cannot expect from them any peace, any truce, any postponement. At every single moment, we must be prepared for this inner engagement and courageously enter into it as soon as we detect their stirrings. Of course, it would have been far better if we had never, in the first place, opened the doors of our soul and allowed these enemies and passions to enter. But since they have already carved a path within us, there is no room for complacency. We must arm ourselves with the light of awareness and expel them from our inner sanctuary. They are shameless and tenacious. They will not leave unless driven out by conscious effort by this very sacred battle. And now let's talk about how you, a warrior of light, can set yourself up each morning for this sacred engagement, this daily recommitment to your growth. The first and most crucial step, as soon as you awaken in the morning, before you plunge into the day's demands, dedicate a few precious moments to stillness. You might offer a simple, heartfelt prayer or affirmation, something like, "Guiding light of my soul, source of all strength, fill me with your wisdom and power for this day. Help me to be mindful, loving, and strong." Then visualize yourself drawing your awareness into the sacred chamber of your own heart. This is your inner altar, your command center. The second step, once centered there, become aware that, metaphorically speaking, to your left stands that very inner enemy, that particular passion, that negative tendency you are especially working with today. It could be procrastination, anger, fear, judgment. You know your current opponent. It's poised to attack the moment you lower your guard. And here, the third step, ignite within yourself an unshakable resolve, either to conquer this weakness today, or at the very least, not to yield an inch to it, to die to its influence, but never to surrender. Simultaneously, the fourth step, become acutely aware that to your right, your divine protector, your higher guide, perhaps Jesus Christ if you walk a Christian path, or the universal life force, or your concept of God, stands invisibly present, along with all benevolent spiritual allies, guardian angels, archangels of light, all ready to rush to your aid. And from this profound realization, draw immense courage, fill yourself with unassailable hope. And so picture this, your own ego, your inner saboteur, that prince of the underworld with all its cunning tricks, rises up and begins to inflame that problematic desire within you, coaxing you with all sorts of flattering promises to your self-indulgence. Stop fighting, just give in this once. It'll be easier. It'll feel so good. You deserve a little break. But at the very same moment, listen intently. From your right side, from the depths of your heart, another voice must be heard, a voice of caution and encouragement. This is the voice of your guardian angel, your intuition, your conscience, which on behalf of all the forces of light will surely whisper to you. Today you face a battle with your passion and other inner adversaries. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. Do not flee from this field of engagement. For the Lord of your heart, your celestial commander, stands near, surrounded by countless hosts of light, ready to assist you against your inner foes and prevent them from overcoming you. For it is promised, the divine will fight for you. Therefore stand firm. Compel yourself not to give in. Strain every nerve of your soul to endure this onslaught, this test, crying out from the depths of your heart, Do not abandon me to the power of those who torment me from within. Call out to your Lord, to the Divine Mother if she resonates with you, to all angels and saints, to all forces of light, and help will come and you will conquer. For it is said, I write to you, young in spirit, you who are encouraged and zealous warriors, because you have overcome the evil one. Even if you feel weak, bound by old destructive habits, even if your inner enemies seem powerful and numerous, know that far greater aid is available to you from the one who created you and redeemed your soul with light. Infinitely stronger than all of them is God, the universe, the absolute, your protector in this battle. And this power has an immeasurably greater desire to save you than your inner enemy has to destroy you. So fight on, and never grow weary of the labor of this inner battle. For it is through this labor, this self-compulsion, this sometimes painful but relentless detachment from your destructive patterns, despite the discomfort, that victory is won and a great treasure is acquired, the kingdom of heaven within you, for the sake of which the soul unites forever with God, with the source of all. Thus, every day from the very morning, in the name of light, begin this struggle against your inner enemies, wielding the chief weapon, not relying on your own limited ego strength, but with audacious, unshakable hope in God, in your higher power. Use prayer, meditation, affirmations, and mercilessly compel yourself to undertake the appropriate spiritual labors and disciplines, especially with the weapon of heartfelt prayer or a mantra that deeply resonates with you. For example, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, or Om Namah Shivaya, or simply, I am light. This name, this vibration, like a double-edged sword wielded in the heart, strikes down and banishes the demons of doubt and passion. As one sage put it, with the name of the Lord Jesus, scourge your adversaries. With this weapon, strike down that enemy, that passion, that evil inclination which assails you. First, resist the passion, don't give it an outlet. Then cultivate a deep aversion, not for yourself, but for that destructive energy within you. And finally, perform actions contrary to that passion. Cultivate the opposite virtue, and do all this within an atmosphere of prayer, mindfulness, and love. By acting thus, you will be doing work that is pleasing to your Creator, who, with the entire triumphant universe, invisibly watches your contest. Yes, it is difficult, at times arduous, but do not grieve and do not let your hands fall. Remember that on the one hand, it is our sacred duty to work on ourselves and strive toward the light, and on the other hand, as has been said, it is inevitable, essential for us to struggle if we wish to truly live. Because as soon as we cease to fight for our soul, we will instantly be struck by spiritual death. And do not let that cunning inner voice deceive you, whispering, just give in for an hour, just allow yourself this weakness one time. Even if it were only for an hour. But what will you become, having turned away from a life lived in spirit and surrendered to the illusions of the world, its fleeting comforts and carnal pleasures, which only temporarily numb the soul's pain? A betrayer of your true self, an apostate from your own divinity. And to become such a thing, not just for an hour, but even for a single moment, is a terrifying prospect. Besides, is it ever really just for an hour? Will not hour follow hour, then day follow day, and year follow year in this soul-destroying existence? And what then? If the divine has mercy on you and gives you another chance to awaken, to arise from this diabolical snare and arouse yourself from this sinful slumber, you will still have to enter the very same battle you are now fleeing, seeking an easy life. With this sole difference, then it will be incomparably harder, sharper, and more painful for you, and furthermore, with less chance of success. But what if the divine leaves you in the hands of your own willfulness and your inner enemies? What then? I will not repeat it. I will only say, remember, for who does not know this? After a life in the tormenting chains of evil passions, sometimes in the intoxication of sensuality, but always without true deep joys, the hour of death will suddenly arrive, and that terrifyingly agonizing state of the soul, which even sacred scriptures could not adequately depict, but only said, then they will cry out, mountains, fall on us. And this cry, beginning at the hour of death, will continue unceasingly throughout all time after death, until the very end of the world, and always in vain. So do not be so unwise as to knowingly hurl yourself into the eternal torments of unfulfillment, regret, and despair by fleeing from the momentary, brief labors of spiritual discipline and inner contention. Instead, as a rational and, I would even say, discerning person, it is far better now to take upon your shoulders these short-lived toils and discomforts of spiritual warfare, so that, having conquered those who battle you from within, you may receive the crown of true freedom and be in union with your divine essence both here on earth and there, in the kingdom of heaven, in the realms of light. So begin today, right now. Do not delay. Ask yourself, what is my main inner adversary today? What small action can I take to counter it? What luminous thought can I cultivate to replace a dark one? And remember, you are not alone. The entire universe is ready to applaud your courage, your determination, your aspiration towards the light. Stand tall, warrior of the spirit. Your victory is preordained if you choose the path of courage and love, forward to your true radiant self.